Peter was in the hospital and Laura, as his attending physician, didn't hesitate to cancel our trip. His surgery was complicated, and if any complications arose, it could be life-threatening. The trip could wait. Ever since Peter reappeared as Laura's patient, I've been piling up these disappointments. I can't fault Laura for her noble spirit as a doctor, nor can I ignore that Peter is Laura's first love. So, I ended up boarding the flight to Semporna alone and decided to let Laura go. I had started planning the Semporna trip months ago. From weather to hotels, from the best photo spots to hidden gems, I organized a 15-page PPT from hundreds of notes on social media. I didn't want to waste all this effort and anticipation. So when Laura told me she couldn't go, I couldn't help but argue with her. Peter was in the hospital again, saying he still didn't feel well, and I couldn't leave him at this critical moment. Peter again. Laura's ex from college. 3 months ago, Peter discovered he had heart issues and flew back to City A to see Laura. From that day on, Laura had been on edge. The night she got Peter's report, she stayed up all night researching in the study. She even reached out to her semi-retired mentor to set up a multidisciplinary consultation. Laura used all her connections and efforts to ensure Peter's operation went smoothly. She even performed the surgery herself. I think Laura isn't just a good doctor, she's also an exemplary ex in China. Even after the successful surgery, Laura tossed and turned sleeplessly, and many nights, I saw her smoking alone on the balcony. In the dim light, the glow flickered at her fingertips. Laura has always been disciplined, barely smoking. I stood behind her in my thin pajamas for a long time without her noticing. After each of Peter's post-surgery checkups, she personally confirmed everything. Eat on time, plenty of vegetables, exercise moderately, no late nights. I saw her texting Peter, being meticulous and tireless. A single call from Peter, and she'd head out, leaving a table of her favorite dishes to cool and be thrown away. That day was her birthday, and I had spent over 3 hours prepping the meal, ending up with burned blisters from hot oil. A few days later, the blisters turned to scabs, and she applied ointment on them, her tone filled with subtle resignation. "Vincent, you really don't need to do all this. Besides, those high-fat, high-sodium dishes aren't healthy." All this finally reached a boiling point. Almost sneering, I said, "Wasn't his surgery done 3 months ago? What, is Peter sick again?" Laura rubbed her temples, the red veins in her eyes evident. "Vincent, do you have to be so cold-hearted? Heart surgery is complex, and post-operative complications can be severe. It's not a small matter. Trips can be taken anytime. Do you really have to compete with a patient?" I laughed in disbelief. When can it ever be any time? Laura's been working for years, and her leaves can be counted on one hand. I accommodate her busy schedule, planning around her time, and interruptions are routine. The furthest we've gone is the next city. This 5-day break was granted by her senior professor because we are nearing our wedding day. She's aware of how much I was looking forward to this trip. Now, she looks at me with exhaustion, her gaze colder than the winter wind. "Stop it, Vincent. I'm really tired." My eyes reddened, fingers digging into my palms, feeling a burning fire in my chest that made everything ache. "Laura, you better be this attentive to every patient." It was late March, still chilly. Laura didn't come after me. Sucking in the cold air along the river, I wrapped my coat tighter. I'm not that bad a person. I didn't want to speak harshly to someone sick. I was anxious for Peter when his issue first came up. I knew Laura was the top thoracic surgeon in City A. With her doing the surgery, the chances were better. It made sense for Peter to choose her. There's nothing more important than being alive. So during the turbulent consult phase, I often took meals to Laura whenever I could. Laura's not picky about food, but she often missed mealtimes because of work and would end up with only buns from the cafeteria. I wanted her to eat a proper meal no matter the time. When did we first argue about Peter, anyway? I think it was when I noticed she was still frequently in contact with him after the surgery. I saw her messages on the phone, reminding Peter to eat, avoid intense exercise, and not stay up late. "Laura, are you caring for a patient or your ex-boyfriend?" She said nothing, just looked at me calmly. Eventually, she took me to the ward. Through the glass, I saw Peter curled up in his hospital attire. His exposed arm seemed only skin and bones, with bruises from his IVs, a painful sight. He looked frail, with pallid lips, frowning even in his sleep as if about to shatter like delicate pottery. I went silent. I'd seen Peter before. Once charming and radiant, he was striking, even next to Laura. Laura handed me her phone, her cold eyes revealing a deeply suppressed sadness. "Vincent, I know what I'm doing. No matter who's lying there, I'll do my best. I just think he's so young, he should live a good life. The chat history is all there, you can check it anytime." All my grievances and resentment, I swallowed back little by little. "But Laura, do you really mean what you say? Peter, just recovering from a big illness, has a bunch of meds to take." Usually so carefree, Laura kept revising the prescription. I was quite surprised seeing this. Shouldn't you doctors be pros at prescribing meds? Are that many drugs unusable? She just gave a light smile. Pharmacology is complex. Until one time I went to bring Laura a meal and bumped into Peter. He pointed at his four and said the carer wasn't around, could I help grab his meds from the pharmacy? I agreed right away. The old pharmacist squinted at the prescription, then looked at me. "This young guy seems energetic, why is he scared of suffering to take meds?" He laughed. "Look at these meds, aren't they sugar-coated and sweet? When you're sick, you gotta bear some bitterness." He pointed at Laura's signature on the form, saying she put quite some thought into the prescription. I forgot what else the old pharmacist said. I just remember on the way back, holding just a few boxes of meds felt like carrying something heavy, weighing down on my chest, making it feel heavy and suffocating. Laura is the most rational person. I've complained the meds were bitter to her before. She'd frown at me, her stunning features looking even more cold. "Vincent, you're not a child. Love is a subconscious expression. So Laura, your heart has already tilted." A light rain started by the river as I walked back. The shoes I'd kicked off when leaving were neatly put back at the door. On the dining table were 3 simple dishes and a soup. Laura stood backlit in the living room, watching me quietly. "You're back? Food is on the table." Her tone was calm, as if I'd just gone for a stroll. I didn't say anything. I didn't let her off the hook like I usually would, putting past squabbles behind. Looking back, every conflict between us because of Peter, no matter how fierce, ended unresolved. In other words, all my energy, tears spent over this, were just a waste, all for nothing. Laura was always like a rational observer, watching me cry, slam the door, only for me to return and process my emotions. Then we'd make up. I suddenly found it meaningless. "Vincent," maybe because I hadn't responded, she walked towards me. "I have to go to the hospital later." I looked down, hearing my voice emerging painfully. "Let's break up." Laura stopped, just centimeters away from me. "Why?" "No reason." I took a deep breath, forcing a bitter smile. "You said you were tired, but never mentioned I am too. So, let's just end it here." Laura was silent for a few minutes. In her clear eyes, there was a brief trace of confusion. And then, I stared into her eyes, hoping to catch more emotions. Anger? Sadness? Regret? But no, that was it. She glanced at her watch, her voice steady. "I have surgery at 3, a meeting at 6. I'll be home by 9. Wait for me." I watched her walk around me to the entrance, change shoes, exit the door, and head to the garage, striding swiftly. This is Laura. Even facing a breakup, she remains poised. No, not entirely. At least when she broke up with Peter, it was a mess. So much so that a medical student ended up drinking herself into a stomach hemorrhage, hospitalized. Her roommate couldn't help but complain to me outside the ward. They say graduation season is breakup season. Ain't that the truth? We're med students, double majors, so busy. He's graduating, and Laura still pulls all-nighters from the lab helping him with reports. And him? Claims to be ill on weekends and needs rest. Laura crosses the city for him, only to catch him celebrating a colleague's birthday. Don't be like Peter Jr. You won't have a good ending betraying a true heart. Back then, not knowing the details, I couldn't comment on right or wrong between them. But I clearly remember Laura, pale on the hospital bed, eyes half closed. So she does have emotions, just never shares her highs and lows with me. Wiping my eyes, I glanced at the clock, 2:30. There's still time before Laura leaves work at 9. I started packing and contacted a moving service. I had refrained from buying things for the rented house, yet there were still many bits and pieces. A woven rose bought on a whim, couples mugs with our faces, all packed up and tossed in the trash. By 8:30, after the moving company took my things, I saw 2 missed calls from Laura and a message. "Vincent, maybe you should calm down." I could almost picture her coldly typing it, thinking I was playing immature games by ignoring her calls. Without hesitating, I blocked her. The day I moved out, a steady rain fell. Not heavy, but constant enough to bring discomfort and heaviness. But the next day dawned clear after the rain. I took it as a good sign, meaning I had moved on from a damp relationship onto brighter days ahead. Laura's call came the next day at noon from an unfamiliar number. I recognized her voice as soon as I answered. "Vincent, where are you?" She got straight to the point. "I'm clutching my phone. I told you yesterday I wanted to break up." "Vincent, last night there was an emergency patient. I didn't get home until 1 a.m. and you blocked me again." I pause for a couple seconds to realize she's explaining why she's calling now. I just respond with, "Oh." Honestly, she didn't need to go through the trouble. I know she's super busy and always had urgent tasks. I used to understand and wait patiently without any complaints. But now I don't have to wait anymore. I disagree with your reason for breaking up. If you're tired, you can tell me. If it's about the trip, we can reschedule. "Vincent, come back, let's talk in person." Her voice is still calm on the other end. I chuckle softly. "Reschedule? Reschedule until when? After Peter completely recovers?" "Laura, that's not rescheduling. That's me going along with your plan." She stops, and it takes her a while before she softly replies, "It's not that." I cut her off. "Laura, you want the reasons for the breakup? Let me ask you, do you love me? Do you love me more than Peter? If you love me, then why am I always taking a backseat to Peter?" Her tone speeds up, almost laced with undeniable helplessness. "Peter is a patient. I'm a doctor. It's my duty. Vincent, I can't just watch a life disappear. If you need love that overcomes a life, I'm sorry." I burst into laughter. "Laura, you see, I asked you 3 questions, but your first response was to explain for Peter. Ask yourself, do you really love me? Since Peter reappeared, have you, even once, truly considered me?" The silence stretches out over the phone line. So I continue talking. "Even though I was the one who wanted to break up, you just want to give me time to cool off. Laura, if your love from now on is just going to bring disappointment and grievances, I've thought it through, I don't want it." A long silence stands between me and Laura. I can hear her breathing getting heavier, and her once steady tone shakes with noticeable discord. She finally forces out, "I'm sorry, Vincent." I hang up the phone. After that day, Laura doesn't contact me again. I guess she figured things out. Since she can't let go of Peter, and he's back, my leaving might even be a good thing. Maybe I should have left sooner. I start looking online for a new place, but I can't find one I like. Instead, I stumble upon a travel agency ad, Semporna off-season sale. Compared to what I'd previously booked, the same price got me an upgraded room and several new water activities. The timing's just half a month earlier. I'm a freelance illustrator, so my schedule's pretty chill. No reason to pass up a bargain, so I decide to change my reservations. Just like that, I'm off. Off-season travel is awesome, less people, beautiful places. On my last night, Laura calls after weeks of silence. "Vincent, I've transferred Peter to another doctor. I'll join you for the trip as planned. I was wrong before. Give me another chance to make it up to you, all right?" Her voice is shrouded in a heavy fog, so low it almost breaks. Suddenly, I remember trying snorkeling with a coach a few days ago. The fish danced through the coral, sunlight streaming down and shimmering. A vast, indescribable beauty, enough to bring tears. "But Laura, I'm already in Semporna." Her breathing stalls. I gently explain. "The travel agency had a sale. My schedule's flexible, so I just changed my ticket. Actually, I've known Laura way longer than Peter. We were high school buddies. She was a year above me. At the high school orientation, she gave a welcome speech as the outstanding senior. Elegant, graceful. In just a few minutes on stage, she captured the hearts of most freshman guys. I was a rebellious kid back then, fearless. I chased her for half the year, even asking for her phone number. But it went nowhere. Until the midterms of my freshman year, my grades plummeted. My homeroom teacher finally called my parents. In front of all the teachers, my dad scolded me, saying I was just like my mom, carrying her lowly blood. He pointed at me and sneered. All you think about is dating? Are you that useless? Just like your mom running after other men, are you trying to do the same? The teacher was clearly surprised, trying to stand between us, but it was pointless. The hallway was packed with students. The next day at lunch break, I didn't want to do homework, so I was dozing off when someone called my name. Laura was standing at the classroom door, light behind her. Vincent. I didn't move, she called out again. Vincent. With everyone egging me on, I went over. Vincent, want to make a bet? I looked confused. She smiled. Next month's exam, make it into the top 100, and I'll go see that movie with you. What a joke. I'm over 300th now in a month? Afraid you can't? Who says that? I reflexively refuted. Her eyes sparkled in amusement, waiting for my response. I didn't know why she suddenly wanted to bet with me, but the next month I placed 92nd. When the results came out, Laura kept her word. I actually forgot what movie I had mentioned, so I randomly picked one. Turned out to be a romance flick, not really my thing. Absent-mindedly, I turned my head, and there was Laura's perfectly defined side profile. I quickly looked away. Luckily, she was focused on the screen and didn't notice. After the movie, I suggested hanging out longer. She smiled knowingly. Another date? That'll cost you. What's that supposed to mean? Next month's finals, top 50. Hey, don't push it, okay? Making the top 100 was tough enough, how's 50 even possible? She started talking slowly. Others might find it hard, but you, Vincent, can. I glanced up, studying her. Suddenly, she pulled out a pen and paper from her pocket, scribbled down a series of numbers, and handed it to me. Isn't this for my phone number? If you have questions, ask me. List them once a week, no fewer than 5 each time, or I won't answer. I had imagined Laura's motives many times, even suspected she had a crush on me too. So, on the day she finished her college entrance exam, I shyly asked, Laura, do you like me? Because I caught off guard. She choked on her water and quickly tossed a stack of notebooks into my arms. Study hard and make progress every day. A gentle refusal. But I wasn't upset. I'd seen your scores from middle school and knew you won several gold medals in competitions in your junior year. So Vincent, starting the second half of freshman year, you let your grades slip and made your pursuit of me public. She stopped, looking as if she wanted to say more. I was stunned. That year, my dad discovered my mom was having an affair, and they were at each other's throats, busy with a tug-of-war over their marriage. I was at a loss, trying to gain back their love by damaging myself and pushing them 1,000 steps back. But oddly enough, they got divorced. Yet, when I climbed back into the top 3 of my class, they suddenly started caring again. They even competed to see who I was closer to. If someone wants to leave, you can't make them stay. And I gradually understood that no matter the circumstances, if I blossom, butterflies will come. Vincent, see you in college. The sunset in June was golden, and the evening glow crept onto the clear face of the girl. My heart raced at that moment. An indescribable feeling was welling up inside. Laura, see you in college. I held onto that hope through the exhausting senior year, finally boarding the northbound train in September of the following year. But Laura, what about seeing each other in college? When Vincent broke up that day, Laura was stunned for several seconds. 1,000 voices screamed in her mind, but when it was time to speak, they all went silent. Laura checked her watch. There was still over an hour before the surgery. Some things are better left unsaid. Pre-surgery mood swings are unacceptable. It's not responsible to the patient or respectful to life. No matter how big the problem, it could wait. The moment she stepped off the operating table, Laura called Vincent. No answer. She rushed into a meeting, and after it ended, called again. Still no answer. A sliver of unease crept into Laura's mind. Is Vincent really mad this time? But Laura frowned slightly and was about to pack her things to find Vincent when a nurse rushed in, saying there was an emergency that needed her attention. So she hastily sent a message. She regretted it just as quickly as she sent it. Vincent was never one for silent treatment and certainly not one to throw around breakups lightly. This was his first time bringing it up. Maybe it wasn't Vincent who needed to calm down. Sure enough, when Laura finally got home under the moon's glow at 1 a.m., her anxiety plummeted. The closet was bare, and the things on the windowsill were gone. Her throat was incredibly dry. She instinctively went to the kitchen to pour herself some water. On the rack, only a mug with her face on it remained, hanging there alone. Laura's fingers trembled violently as she unlocked her phone repeatedly to find Vincent's name and called him. Vincent was truly determined. He left, blocked her number, and didn't even give a proper goodbye, though she told him to wait for her. Why? Before, Vincent had waited countless times, falling asleep on the couch waiting for her. Why couldn't he wait for just a few hours this time? Laura trudged to bed with heavy steps but lay awake till dawn. At noon the next day, she finally had a moment and borrowed her colleague's phone. But the conversation didn't go well. Every question Vincent asked left Laura speechless. It felt like a dull blade slowly slicing her heart. A nurse came by to say a patient in 1707 was complaining of discomfort, asking if Laura could check on them when she had a moment. 1707 was Peter. Laura massaged her temples as she headed to the ward. Peter was lying on the bed watching a show, laughing heartily. Laura. Peter was clearly in a good mood and eagerly passed her his tablet. You gotta watch this show? It's hilarious. Where does it hurt? Laura stood still and Peter pouted. Oh, come on, why so serious? You work so hard every day. I called you over to let you relax a bit. As for pain, my stomach aches, I have a headache sometimes, what should I do, Laura? Laura pressed her lips, reading over Peter's current hospital reports. Peter was recovering well, most of his basic markers were within range. Occasionally, a few values were off, but nothing major. Are you taking your meds? Watching your diet? Peter suddenly jumped off the bed, picked up the lunchbox from the table, and, using a fork, offered Laura some broccoli, leaning in close. He was visibly upset. Look, it's just healthy food all day. I'm practically turning into a herbivore. Can you imagine eating this every day? I don't care, Laura. After work, take me for spicy crabs. You know I love that place. Laura subtly took 2 steps back. She felt a sudden wave of irritation. How did they break up back then? Peter wanted companionship, a sense of occasion, and emotional support. Tipping his head arrogantly, he said, Laura, go live with your lab. You give me nothing. You're too busy to even say goodnight. What's the point of someone like you wasting anyone's time? A female colleague isn't just a coworker, is she? It's just a birthday dinner. And besides, who are you to accuse me? Weren't you always tangled up with your little schoolmates too? Laura saw a figure flash in her mind. Vincent. When Vincent first came to City A, he came to see her a few times, all excited. But after he saw her with Peter, he never came back. The only time he reached out, Peter mocked him endlessly. At that moment, Laura decided to let go of that relationship. She was young then and genuinely invested in that relationship. She eventually got drunk, bringing it to a sort of closure. Peter later tried to make up. He bought a cake and came to the med school to see her, his words hinting at getting back together. But Laura didn't budge. Peter angrily smashed the cake on the ground. Do you think I didn't know? When you were in the hospital, that guy brought you food every day. You two were definitely hooking up, right? Fine, I'm out of here. I'm giving you 2 space. Laura was stunned. When she was hospitalized for half a month, her roommate brought food twice. Then it was delivered punctually every day by someone else. But she always thought the deliveries were ordered by her roommate. Back then, Vincent had just entered the workforce. Her roommate scratched her head. That guy said takeout isn't clean. He wasn't too busy during his internship, so he made an extra meal for you daily without much trouble. Oh, he also said that since you had a boyfriend, he didn't want to cause any misunderstanding, so he asked me to deliver it. He still owes me a big meal for that. Laura suddenly recalled a late night driving Vincent back to school, where the sparse starlight mixed with the tears he tried to hide. Vincent said the wind irritated his eyes. But there weren't any winds that night, just scattered stars. That one tear, shed unintentionally, finally pierced through time to burn in Laura's heart at that moment. Laura, I promise, after eating this spicy crab, I'll take my medicine regularly. Peter's words were overly forward. Laura looked at Peter's hand clutching her sleeve. Peter's intentions weren't hard to guess. When they broke up, she was just a busy med student. Now, she's a highly respected young doctor in City A. Peter always knew how to seek advantages and avoid risks, unlike Vincent, who seemed foolish to him. After enduring the long night, he turned away at the first light. Laura closed her eyes, bitterly self-mocking. Despite always thinking she was about saving lives, she unintentionally hurt a sincere heart. When she opened her eyes again, her usual coldness and detachment were back. My report shows you're fine now. You can just book a regular checkup from today. No need to see me again. Peter stared in disbelief. Laura swiftly freed her sleeve from his grasp. If your stomach hurts, go to internal medicine. If your belly's in pain, get a gastroenteroscopy. No one can save you if you don't follow medical advice. Also, I'm quite busy, so please don't waste medical resources. Peter was stunned. Laura, who are you to reject me? I can choose any doctor I want. You know I can report you for this? Laura smiled suddenly, but there was a chilling coldness in her eyes. Is that so? Do what you want. After coming back from Semporna, I got a call from a real estate agent. Vincent, the house you and Laura bought is expected to be delivered next month. We welcome you to come and inspect it. Last year, Laura and I were close to discussing marriage, and this house was meant to be our marital home. The purchase contract only has my name, but Laura paid for it. I clutched a savings book and told her that I had saved some money over the years since graduating and could contribute to our future. Laura seemed really happy at that moment, rare enough to make a playful joke. Great, now I'm broke. The perfect time for someone to support me. I left Laura's number with the real estate agent. The agent hesitated. Vincent, we can only do the handover based on the name on the contract. Changing it will need you to handle it at the housing bureau once you have the deed. Laura's been earning well these years, and this house was paid for in full. But now that we're broken up, it's better not to owe each other financially. I called Laura, and she answered almost immediately. After hearing what I had to say, there was a long silence before she softly spoke. Vincent, are you so eager to draw a line between us? I felt a bit bewildered. She sighed softly. I'm a bit busy. There's no rush for this matter. The real estate agent nudged me several times after, so I just went on my own to take care of the paperwork. While inspecting the house, a thought crossed my mind. That money I didn't spend last year could be used now to buy a place of my own, right? Excitedly, I started looking for houses. Luck seemed to be on my side, as I quickly found a small house. 2 bedrooms, a living room, a newer model with a little garden. My savings were just enough for the down payment, and I could still save some for renovations. On the day of contract signing, I chatted a bit with the owner in my excitement. This garden, I'll fill it with roses and set up a swing. Then I can sit in the sun and paint. The owner was young too, tall, with striking features and a cheeky confidence. She raised an eyebrow. Sounds like the perfect dream home. Oh, you paint? Are you an art teacher? Nope. Feeling good. I showed her some past works on my phone. Her eyes lit up. A concept artist. Huh? Impressive. I felt a bit shy, but she was bubbling with excitement. I'm working on a new game. Actually, selling the house is part of the reason. Any chance you'd be interested in working with me? She spoke softly. It's just that during our start phase, what we can pay might not match your other big projects. But maybe you'd like to visit my studio first? Our game design is really cool. On impulse, I agreed. After hanging out a few more times, I learned her name was Olivia. She graduated from one of the top 2 computer science programs in the country. Now, she's starting her own company with some like-minded friends to develop a game. The day Olivia and I sealed our partnership, she was driving me home when we bumped into an old acquaintance. Peter. Peter was standing a little ways off, watching Olivia and me with a smirk. He was always handsome, and now, having just recovered from a serious illness, it added a certain frail beauty to his look. "Impressive, Vincent," he said with a hint of a smirk. "Juggling a new flame while keeping the old one on a string. Quite the talent you've got." Olivia frowned, about to say something, but I stopped her. I met Peter's gaze, still confused about the tidal wave of hostility coming from him. But no matter the source, I wasn't about to take his crap. If we're talking about keeping old flames on strings, who could top Peter? Funny thing is, the reason Peter could stand here at all, running his mouth, was thanks to a skilled ex who brought him back to health. Peter's face went pale. "You?" I sneered. "What's the matter? Finally got your strength back to cause trouble after your recovery? I'd suggest you head back home and not waste Laura's efforts." Peter gritted his teeth, shot me a furious look, and then turned and left. Laura's car pulled up barely 10 minutes later. She parked on the street and walked over to Olivia and me. Olivia rested her chin on her hand for a moment as if solving a puzzle and then exclaimed, "Oh, Vincent," Laura called to me. I looked up at her. It had been a while since I'd seen her, and she'd noticeably lost weight. Her once elegant and graceful demeanor now carried a hint of weariness. "Who's she?" Laura's gaze landed on Olivia beside me, her eyes full of swirling emotions that were hard to pin down. "She's my client," I said honestly. Olivia glanced over at me. Laura's expression relaxed a little. Laura reached out to touch me, but Olivia blocked her. "You're a client stepping over some boundaries, aren't you?" Laura sneered, while Olivia raised an eyebrow. "Boundaries?" says the ex-wife who's clearly overstepping. Laura instantly clenched her fists. I quickly signaled Olivia to leave. Laura offered to take me home, but I turned her down. Her lips moved slightly, and her eyes were filled with intense pain. "Vincent, do we really have to be strangers now?" My heart twinged a bit, but only a bit. "Whenever you're free, we can transfer your house back to your name," I cut straight to the point, but she just looked as though she didn't hear. "Vincent, I messed up," she said. "I'll change. I'll make loving you my priority. I'll love you seriously, like you once loved me. Please, Vincent, don't leave." Suddenly she hugged me tightly, her face buried in my shoulder, trembling. I gently pushed her away. Under the dim streetlight, I could see her eyes welling with tears. "Vincent, you spent a decade loving me. How can you just walk away?" I met her eyes, spoke slowly and seriously. If someone accidentally breaks their leg, can't get immediate help, and it festers and rots inside Laura, you know what that person should do, don't you? Laura's face went colorless inch by inch. She shut her eyes in despair, and when she opened them again, they were filled with boundless sadness and helplessness. "Amputate," she said. "Exactly." I smiled. "That's what loving you was like for me." After that night, it seemed like I finally began to truly drift away from Laura. She never sought me out again, but never responded about the house either. Unsure of her plans, I mailed her the keys. I started spending most of my time working on Olivia's game. There was a group of young people with such sincere hearts, giving everything for a shared dream. Back when I was with Laura, she wouldn't let me stay up late to draw. But now I'm totally hooked on this thrilling passion. Pulling all-nighters got me scared of myself. The day I finished the scene illustrations, Olivia forcibly shut down my computer. "Hey, aren't you afraid I didn't save my work?" I rolled my eyes, but she just grinned cheekily. "Vincent, I'm taking a break today, so you're forced to take a day off too." I hated feeling like someone was outdoing me secretly. That afternoon, I passed by a flower and bird market and decided to buy a big bag of rose seeds. I figured it was time to start working on my garden. But just as I was digging a few shovels of dirt, I got a frantic call from Olivia. "Vincent, your ex-wife went nuts, hurry up." I rushed over. Luckily, it wasn't far, just in a nearby mall. There I saw Olivia, looking angry, leaning against the wall, beside a tall, handsome guy. Laura stood not far away, her face full of cold anger. Vincent, you finally came. I need you to set things right. I was just shopping normally and your ex-wife went crazy. Started pointing and yelling at me. She covered her forehead, looking pitiful. She even tried to throw coffee at me. How do I even show my face in public now? Boo-hoo. I looked closely at her face. No damage, just really pissed. I couldn't help but laugh. Olivia kept whining. I'm gonna sue her. Damn it, boo-hoo-hoo. Laura snorted. Vincent, you see it now. She's dating other guys behind your back. Doesn't a woman like that deserve to be taught a lesson? I'm not. Olivia started to explain, but was cut off by Laura. Not what? You pick up and drop off Vincent every day and then you date other guys. Are you saying you're not playing with his feelings? How do you know I pick up and drop off Vincent every day? Olivia asked, confused. I looked at Laura too. Laura turned her head away, silent. Olivia gritted her teeth and pulled the guy next to her over. This is my cousin Henry, the kind related by blood. I just asked him to help me pick out a gift. Vincent, don't let your ex ruin things between us. I couldn't help but laugh, had to go into the mall and buy some iodine and alcohol, then asked Olivia's cousin Henry to help calm her down. Oh no, I mean help her feel better. When I handed the medicine to Laura, she didn't take it. I sighed, turned to leave, and she hurriedly grabbed me. Vincent, I didn't mean to follow you. Don't be mad. I'm about to leave City A, so I wanted to see you a few more times. She noticed my surprised look and smiled while explaining. The Western regions lack medical resources, and City A happens to have a matching aid program. I volunteered, planning to move there for about 3 to 5 years. Vincent, you don't have to worry about me. I'll take care of myself. I thought about it for a long time, nowhere has you, so might as well go far away, do something genuinely meaningful. I felt a mix of emotions. In the end, I just said, take care. On the eve of Olivia's game launch, I received a postcard mailed from the Northwest. Endless yellow sands flying, crescent moon spring nestled within. Olivia raised an eyebrow and sighed. Her slender fingers brushed over the crescent moon spring on the postcard. Us gamers, we know there are 2 types of skills that are hardest to dodge. One with a super long wind-up, another that launches instantly. Looks like your ex-wife had a really long-winded romance. And who knows how many years it'll take before she can move on from someone's instant departure. I rolled my eyes at her, grabbed the postcard, and casually slipped it into a book. I've known for a while. Anyone looks beautiful standing under a cherry blossom tree. My love. It's passionate no matter who it's for. It's not that she was great, it's that I was. Behind me, Olivia kept rattling on. Vincent, stop getting so worked up. By the way, our game's about to launch. When will you take me to visit your rose garden?